All right, Doru, thanks for joining us on this interview. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure too.
So, if some people might not know that not only are you currently the interim CEO, but also the head of the women's team, the coach. Um, can you give us a little background of how you got started into table tennis?
Um, yes, of course. I don't know. I was like 12 years old when my PE teacher in school, who was also he's actually a table tennis coach, used to do every year kind of a selection of the skilled kids. So one day he came to school and he said, today I'm going to select 20 or 30 people to start playing table tennis at our club. So this is how I started. I got selected and I started to go. I was 12 years old actually when I started. And I started to a local club. My PE teacher was my coach also. And I played for that club. I grew up with that club until I went to college. Then I switched to a university club until I finished college. And then I became a national team member for juniors when I was 15 years old. And I was a member of national team, juniors, and then senior team until 1983. So kind of 68 was the first year when I started the national team until 1983 was my last year playing for national team. After that, I retired from national team. I played professionally for the club until 1990 when I became General Secretary of Romanian Association.
Okay. So what are some of your big accomplishments as a player then while you're in Romania? Besides, just making the national team and everything.
Internationally, I was not very good. I was probably, if you check the records, I was top 32 in some world championships. I won 15 Romanian titles, a few international competitions, medals. With the team, the best accomplishment was in 1975 in India. We finished ninth in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I believe 9th or 11. I have to. It's kind of a long time ago, but it was a very good result. We beat a lot of teams, good players. That was probably my best year as an athlete.
Okay. So while you're in Romania, obviously, I'm going to guess, is that when you met Emilia?
That's correct.
And if everyone doesn't know, Emilia is the head coach of the cadet girls team. And she was on the national team too, right?
Well, she was on the national team, and actually she was much better athlete than I was. She finished fifth in the Olympic Games in 1992. She got finished third at the World Championship in China in 1995. European champion with the team, European top 12 winner. Yeah, she was much better player than I was.
So does that mean if you guys were to play right now, she would beat you, or?
Of course, I wouldn't say otherwise.
Okay. So what brought you guys to the U.S. then?
Well, it was, let's say, just by chance in 1997, the World Championship in England. the USA table tennis just put some application in the pigeon boxes that each country has at World Championship. Application for the National Training Center and women's team coach. And I don't know what came into me. I just tossed my application back to USATT, pigeon box. And then here I was, selected as a national women's team in 1997. Actually, they did the selection kind of interview, and I was selected.
Wow.
This is when I moved to US. Basically, I was general secretary in Romania, and I was also coaching. 1996, I was a coach for Atlanta games. I was a coach for men's team.
Mm-hmm.
I was coaching Vasile Flore at that time. Actually, he won US Open in 1996. So here I was. I moved into USA. New challenges. But, you know, it was fun.
Okay, so you came over to be a coach, but throughout the years you've had many different roles with USA Table Tennis. Can you explain a little bit about your current role right now?
Well, to explain the current role, I have to go back to the beginning. I started as a coach at Michigan Training Center and a national women's coach in 1998. Actually, officially, I started in 1998. Then in 2003, I had Sherry Pittman, who was the president of the association at that time, came to me and she said, what do you think taking over the executive director job in Colorado Springs? Well, I said, yes, at that time, USAT didn't have an executive director. They were going through rough times. And they said, yeah, let's do it. But I don't want to give up on my coaching job for the women's team because this is what I like the most. And they agree. So basically, I was executive director and the women's team coach from 2003 to 2007. Then something happened. I resigned. I got hired back as a high performance director. And then later on, the chief operating officer. Right now, I'm just an interim until CEO interim, besides high performance director and coach. I'm doing the interim as a CEO until USAT table tennis will find a new CEO.
Okay. So throughout all those different changes and different roles, you've remained the U.S. women's coach ever since then, right?
Yes, that's correct. It's something that I like and I enjoy doing it. And is challenging. Being the women's team coach is challenging.
How many Olympics have you been to as the U.S. women's team coach?
As a women's team coach, 4. 2000, 2004, 8, and 12.
Wow. Okay. So throughout that whole time span, who are some of the notable players that you would have to say that you've had the pleasure of coaching?
Well, I had many players I've been working with, and I cannot say that it was more pleasure to work with one than the other, but definitely I enjoyed working with Gheorghe. She was a really easy athlete to work with, professional. She knew what she had to do, very respectful, and what can I say? It was a real pleasure to work, but doesn't mean that it was not a pleasure to work with other kids. I mean, I have Ariel, Lily, Wang Chen, even Yasna rather. Each athlete has something, something attractive to work with. You know, some of them are probably really hard working people. Some of them are not, and they require more attention. But all of them, they want to be successful. So helping them, it's something that it's a part of the job, and it's also a pleasure when you see results coming out of your work, working with people. And it's hard to say it was a pleasure working with one or the other, but definitely Gao Jun and was the easiest player to work with. She knew what she has to do.
So even though you know, you had a pleasure of working with everyone, but do you have some of your favorite moments as a coach though throughout the years?
Yeah, I have a few moments. What can I say? I have a few moments with Gao Jun and reaching quarterfinals of the Worlds 2 times and going through very tough matches. Great moments coaching Wang Chen in Olympic Games in 2008, reaching quarterfinals. Great moment coaching the team, Wang Chen, Gao Jun, Crystal Wang in 2008 when we also reached quarterfinals and we were kind of in semifinals to play for the medals. Great moments. You know, the hardest moments are the ones probably you'll remember because, you know, makes your adrenaline going up very fast. And also, great moments with Ariel in 2012 in Olympic Games. And probably, you know, the game against Xiaosha, she had good results, great results. And Ariel is also very, very hard-working person and easy to work with. Then Winnie Zhang at the last World Championship in Tokyo, she performed very well, and she, as I said, it's a pleasure working with the national team, with the women especially. For some reason, women are hardworking people, and they know what they want.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I like. It's challenging, but that makes life, you know, better and nicer for us.
So, you know, talking about those some of those veteran teams, how does the current team compare to, you know, the team of like Gao Jun and Wang Chen and Crystal Wang? Like, you know, you have some really young players this time around, the past couple of years. It seems like that's a pretty big change to see so many young faces.
Yeah, this change came in like in 2010 when I had Gao Jun and 4 very young kids like Erika, Ariel, Lily. They were like 13, 14 years old. And that year was probably the toughest year for me to coach these kids because it's a learning process. They were new in the team. They needed to learn rules and what I want from them. And I need to know what they can offer, how they, you know, their personality is. But it was a blast. What can I say? 2010 was a blast. Having them, it was like something refreshing in my life. Having those young kids, they are always talking, always happy, running around like bunnies, hard control, but you know, makes you feel younger sometimes, you know, having them around. After 1 year, they settled down. They knew what I want, so we build up sort of confidence, you know, trust, mutual trust, and after a few years, I'm working with them as well as I work with the old generation. So, Gao Jun, Wan Chen, they know what needs to be done.
Okay, so like in the recent Tokyo World Championships, you probably had a mix of, even though they're veterans, but they're still very young, like Lily, and so. But you've also had some other new players playing as well. How was it like trying to manage, you know, players of different levels, and their experiences?
Yeah, well, I had this before when I had Gao Jun and Yang, so it's kind of repeating. The history is repeating again, and it was easier than in 2010. Let's say we had like Krista Wang was very young, maybe younger than Ariel and Lily when they started the World Championship. So she's 12 years old, so she was not even 12 probably, and. Angela won were also the first time there, but you know they adjusted very well. We didn't have any problems at all. I mean, they just followed the leaders in the team, and it was much easier because we had like Lily Prachi. They were kind of veterans, let's say. They are so young. And they just followed the lead. It was much easier than 2010. What can I say? And they are, Crystal is a very disciplined girl, so it's easy to work with. So.
Great.
No, it was a great experience. The problem was to make her understand there is nothing to be afraid when you play. What can I say? The first match she played, her hands were shaking. She was so afraid to play. So that, it was nice to see that somebody, I remember my first match, international game. So I knew what she is going through, try to calm her down. And then she played better and better every match.
Great. So coming from a European country and how you play in Romania and everything like that, what was your experience like as a head coach in the U.S. where you faced players of different styles from, Gao Jun, who has a very unique style compared to what you're used to, and even today's kids who are learning from just so many various styles. What's that like as a coach?
Well, the styles didn't bother me at all. We are used to. When you play internationally for so many years, you've seen so many styles. It's not the styles; it's the culture. It's totally different, and you have to adjust. At the beginning, it took me a few years to adjust, but not to specific table tennis skills or technique or strategy or you name it. But more like people mentality in US.
Okay.
Everything, the structure, how the people, the parents think is totally different. And I've seen many good players coming from China and other countries, and in a few years they change their mentality. It's something that you have to adjust. It's US, it's different culture, different structure, and you have to adjust and you have to find a way to work with the system that is in place right now. So it's different. It's totally different.
Okay.
What can I say? It took me a few years to understand and simply change my thinking.
So, with this new young team and everything, what do you see about the future of the women's team next couple of years?
What can I say? We have Ariel and Lily that are kind of going to college. I cannot predict what's going to happen with them. Which way they go. They might stick with table tennis. They might give up on table tennis. What I know, they love to come back for Olympic Games 2016, and I guess this is an incentive for them to keep training, won't giving up. The new generation, we have a great kids coming up. We have like Crystal, even Prachi, Angela, Emilia. I believe this new generation could be better even than the other one because they are younger and they are kind of committed to table tennis. Some of them, they are even committed to give up school for table tennis. But we'll see. They are still young, 11, 12, 13 years old. They are still young. and we'll see how they develop. But compared to 10 years ago, we have a good pool of athletes. 10 years ago, we had athletes, but not at this level that we have right now. They are, for 12 years old, they are very high level.
Mm-hmm.
Not even in Europe. You cannot find this kind of level in Europe. It's hard. I mean, we can look at the world ranking. USA is in top 10.
Mm-hmm.
We never had this before in cadets or juniors. Now we have. And there are more and more kids coming up in the pipeline. I know of, and the parents are spending a lot of money to have them train and participate in international competitions, and that's a good thing happening for us.
Okay, that's great. Well, do you have anything to say for the young upcoming players then to hope to make the national team and get coached by you in the future?
Well, if you like table tennis, don't give up. If you train, you will be successful. Don't give up if you lose one time. Just stand up and keep going. This is the only advice I have for them. If you want and you have the will to win, you will be successful.
That's a great message for them.
Yes.
All right, Doru, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us today. It was some great insight, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you soon at the U.S. Nationals.
Thank you very much, Tom. It was a pleasure.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doru.
JOOLA, for the champion in you.